Alrighty, welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are joining us today. Welcome to our Trailhead Live session for awesome admins, build AI-powered predictions with Einstein Prediction Builder. My name is Rebecca Sarr. I'm a director on the admin marketing team here at Salesforce, and I'm joined today by Rajiv Patel, who is on the Einstein product marketing team. And he's going to be sharing some amazing content with all of us so that we can learn how to start using Einstein predictions and building them today. So before we get started, we do have our forward-looking statement reminding you to please make any purchasing decisions based on currently available features and functionality. And we want you to connect with us. We are on all the social channels that you are on. So if you're on Twitter, find us at Salesforce Admins, no I, or using the hashtag AwesomeAdmin. We'll be tweeting away. We're also on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube at Salesforce Admins. And if you're looking for more great resources like these, like what we're presenting today, go to admin.salesforce.com. And we just wanted to remind you that this session is being recorded. This is Trailhead Live, and all live sessions end up on the same landing page right here where you can find them later. And we do want to entertain all of your questions. So there is a chat option available, but if you have meaty questions that you want us to get answers for you for, definitely go to bit.ly/admin webinar group. That's in the Trailblazer community, and that's where we will jump in post-session to answer all of your questions. So what is our agenda for today? So we're going to first talk about machine learning and get a quick overview of that. Then we're going to talk about specifically using Einstein Prediction Builder. And then we're going to dive into an example use case and really follow through how we can build a really impactful prediction for our company. And that will include a demo, and then we'll wrap up with resources and Q&A. And to do that, I'm going to have Rajiv take it away.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Rebecca. Hello, everyone. And so, as Rebecca mentioned, today I want to talk to you all about how you can build predictions with Einstein Prediction Builder. But before we dive into Einstein and Einstein Prediction Builder, I first want to talk a little bit about machine learning, which is a part of artificial intelligence. And so for those of you who might be new to machine learning, it's all about using past data to predict the future. And so what it does is it'll find patterns in historical data, apply that to new data in order to generate predictions. And so for historical data, those could be your historical records, right? An example of that might be opportunities that have won or lost in the last 12 months, right? Or maybe cases closed in the last 12 months. And then for new data, these are the records that you want to make a prediction on. And a great example is new opportunities or new cases. And so again, machine learning is all about using past data to predict the future. And so, when we embarked on this journey with Einstein about 4 years ago or so, we noticed that customers wanted to build intelligent apps. But we also knew that building intelligent apps is tricky. And it's not just about the algorithm. There's a lot of hidden complexity that a lot of folks, don't usually think about. And that includes ingesting your data, and so manipulating your data in a way that works well with machine learning algorithms, having a team of data scientists in place to create your model. If you want to be able to put your prediction into production, really having the right infrastructure in place to deploy that prediction and monitor the accuracy of your prediction. And lastly, being able to integrate that into your business processes. And, that's really where Einstein shines, because with the predictions that you'll build with Einstein Prediction Builder, for example, those are already embedded in the Salesforce apps that you use today. And so with Salesforce Einstein, the way we think about it is, you're able to discover hidden patterns and insights in your data. For example, maybe you want to understand what trends are driving your business or what marketing campaigns are performing. And you can also build predictions. And so you could predict, whether or not a customer will attrit or leave your company, or the likelihood of a student to graduate from college. And not only that, you can build recommendations and really recommend the next best action for your users. For example, with that prediction, maybe it's a recommendation to say, okay, this is the action that you should take to prevent that customer from attriting or leaving your company? Like, what's that next best action to take? And lastly, automation. When customers think about AI, they think about automation. And I will share there are some limitations to that. You can't automate everything, but if you think about those, really repetitive tasks, that's something that you can automate with AI and Einstein. And so, I hear from customers all the time that, like they ask me, where can I learn more about the Einstein products? They're like somewhere that kind of shows that. And that's why I really love this slide, because it lays out the full suite of Einstein products. We have our Einstein products for Salesforce users, and you can think about those. Those are our out-of-the-box apps that are pre-packaged and are geared towards different lines of business, whether you work in sales, service, marketing. These are Einstein features that already work in like Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Marketing Cloud. And just to give you a couple examples, for Einstein for Sales, you can predict the likelihood of a lead to convert into an opportunity. Or for Einstein for Marketing, you can predict the likelihood of a customer to open up an email. And so, again, those are prepackaged solutions geared towards different lines of business. But we also understand that companies have very unique business needs. They might have unique processes at their company. And so that's why we created the Einstein platform for our admins and developers out there. These are admin and developer tools that allow you to customize AI to meet your unique business needs. And so for our developers, we provide functionality through APIs like Einstein Vision. With Einstein Vision, it allows you to analyze images, and you can classify images, identify objects within images. With Einstein Language, it allows you to understand language. And so you can identify sentiment in text, for example, whether something's positive, negative, or neutral. And what's really cool and exciting, and what's the focus of this presentation, are our admin-related tools, specifically around Einstein Prediction Builder. And so, what's really exciting about this, if you think about, really being able to democratize AI and provide an easy way for customers to build intelligent apps, this is the way to do that. And we're providing that through our admin-related tools. And so today, we're going to talk about Einstein Prediction Builder, which allows you to build a prediction on any object in Salesforce. So I'll quickly talk through a little bit about Einstein Prediction Builder. And so what is it? Well, it's a wizard where you can define a machine learning problem for the Einstein platform to solve. And so if you remember earlier, we talked about machine learning is all about using past data to predict the future. And so it's all about defining a machine learning problem for the Einstein platform to solve for. And who's it for? It's for Salesforce admins. It's for all of you. And so you don't need to be a specialist in machine learning. You don't need a data science background. Again, we're making it easy for you to build intelligent apps. And lastly, what's the value? Well, we're making it easy to create predictions. And not only that, you can iterate on those predictions and use them in production. And, I just wanted to mention that, building predictions with Einstein Prediction Builder, that's one key part of the process. But there's a lot of other key things to keep in mind as you build your predictions. And we'll talk about that throughout this presentation. And so now I wanted to talk a little bit about what Einstein Prediction Builder predicts for. And so it predicts for numeric and binary predictions. And so let's talk about that. Well, for numeric predictions, you're able to predict a number. For example, when will this case close? Or how much is this deal worth? Or, how much will this house sell for? And that'll come in the form of a number. And so if for the house, how much will this house sell for? Einstein can predict that it'll sell for $400,000. And then you can also make binary predictions. And so those are predicting the answer to a yes or no question. Is this customer going to churn? Is this case going to close? Will this student graduate on time? And that prediction will be returned in the form of a number or a probability. And so, for example, this customer has a 20% chance of churning, or this student has an 80% chance of or likelihood to graduate on time. And so those are the things that Einstein Prediction Builder predicts for. And so now I want to talk to you about and show you an example of how one of our own customers uses Einstein Prediction Builder. They predicted whether or not an invoice will be late. And so I mentioned earlier that there are other key things to keep in mind as you think through creating predictions. And what we're looking at right now is around really how to define a use case and how to really think about creating predictions. And so there are some questions that we recommend keeping in mind as you define your use case. And the first question you ask yourself is, okay, what is the problem that my company is facing? And for this customer, well, maybe it's only 35% of my invoices are paid on time. How do I get more payments on time? How do I get customers to how do I decrease the amount of late invoice payments, right? Next thing you might ask yourself is, what type of prediction will help? Well, I'd like to predict which invoices are likely to be paid late. And then you might ask yourself, okay, how does this fit in with Einstein Prediction Builder? Can it be phrased as a yes or no or numeric question? And so for this one, it can. Will this prediction be paid late? Or excuse me, will this invoice be paid late? And then, how are you going to use this prediction? Remember that a prediction is just a number. And so it's important to not just have that prediction, but to take action on that prediction. And so maybe it's, sending a task to account managers for invoices that are likely to be late. Or maybe, it's you sending an email to those customers to let them know, hey, make sure, just as a reminder, make sure you pay that invoice on time. And so taking action on that prediction. Lastly, how do you measure if the prediction is successful? And maybe it's, there's a percentage increase in customers paid before 30 days, or, a percentage reduction in the average days to pay. These are all key things to keep in mind as you think about using the Einstein Prediction Builder tool. And so if we move forward a bit, now I want to kind of show you, this is a framework that our team has created to make it easier for you to think about when you're planning out your prediction. And so there are key things to keep in mind as you go through this process. And so if we think about, the data set, right? Well, as I mentioned earlier, you can make a prediction on any object in Salesforce. And so the data does need to be stored within one object, right? And so for this example, it's the invoice object. We're predicting whether or not an invoice will be late. And then you'll see an option that allows you to segment your data. With Einstein Prediction Builder, you can choose whether or not you want to segment your data. And some of the reasons you might want to segment your data might include, if you want to focus on a subset of your customers within a specific region, maybe within specific countries, if you want to create separate models for that. Or maybe you want to focus on customers whose invoices are over $5,000, over $10,000. We allow you to segment your data. And then you're going to include positive and negative examples. And positive examples include, for this example, records that are not paid on time. We need to show Einstein records that were not paid on time. And then we also need to show negative examples for records that were paid on time. And the reason for that is because, as I mentioned earlier with machine learning, it's all about looking at that past historical data to predict the future. And so within that historical data, we need to provide Einstein with the examples. Okay, these were ones that were not paid on time, and these were ones where records were paid on time. So Einstein can find patterns in this data in order to generate a prediction. And then there's the prediction set. And so for this example, these are records that have a balance, but they're not due yet. These are the ones that these are the records that we want to make a prediction on. And just lastly here, around positive examples and negative examples, I just like to call it, for the records that are not paid on time, we're going to say that examples include where the payment date is after the due date, meaning they paid after the due date, of course, or it's past the due date and there's still a balance. It's past and they haven't paid yet. For our negative examples, the records that are paid on time, this is where the invoice balance is 0 and the last payment date was before the due date. So they paid on time. Okay, so with that, now I'd like to show you Einstein Prediction Builder in action. And so now we're going to go ahead and jump into a demo. So I've logged into my Salesforce org, and as I mentioned, we're predicting if an invoice will be late, right? And so let's go ahead and get started. And so first, I'm going to go ahead and jump to the setup page. I'll click this setup gear icon on the right-hand side and go ahead and click setup. Once I get the setup, you'll notice that there is this Einstein Prediction Builder tile. I'm going to go ahead and click get started. Once I click get started, I will be taken to Einstein Prediction Builder. And I did want to call out here, you'll notice that we have enabled predictions and total predictions listed. And so if you haven't heard, in spring 20, Einstein Prediction Builder is now freemium. And so admins of Enterprise Edition and above orgs, they can build up to 10 predictions and enable one of those predictions. And so what that means is you can build up to 10 predictions, you can play around with them and kind of see how they perform over a period of time. But when you want to actually start pushing scores to your customer records, that's when you enable the prediction. You can do those for one of them in the freemium version. If you did need to build more predictions, enable more predictions, we recommend talking to your Salesforce account rep to learn more. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and start building a prediction. So I'm going to go ahead and click New Prediction. And let's call this something like Late Invoice Prediction. And I'm just going to put 2 at the end of it in case I've already created one that just says Late Invoice Prediction. And keep in mind, this is not something that the end user will see. This is something that you'll just see in Einstein Prediction Builder as an admin. I'll go ahead and click Next. And then it's going to ask you to select an object to predict. Where does the data live? And so if you remember earlier, it's in the invoice object. I'm going to go ahead and click Invoice. And then it's going to ask me if I want to focus on a particular segment in my data set. And so for this example, we're not focusing on a specific segment, but on this page of the wizard, we do recommend checking out this handy data checker over here. And so as you go through this, we recommend always checking the data checker just to make sure you're on the right path and to make sure you have enough records for Einstein to make a prediction on. And so we do recommend, you do need at least 400 rows of data. And so I'm going to go ahead and click Check Data. And record count looks good. So let's go ahead and move forward. Then it's going to ask me, what kind of question is your prediction? And so is it a yes or no prediction, or is it a numeric prediction? Well, for this one, it's a yes or no prediction. Will this invoice be late? So I'm going to go ahead and click yes, no. And then it's going to ask me, is there a field that can answer your prediction question? Is there a field that represents the outcome of your prediction? And so, in the past, admins would usually have to create a checkbox or a custom formula field to represent the outcome of their prediction. Something that's super cool in Spring 20, you no longer need to create that field, and that's possible through filter-based predictions. And so you don't need to create that field in advance. You can just go ahead and simply select New Field, and then you can use filters to set up that prediction and define those yes or no examples. Okay. So now it's asking, which are the records that Einstein should use as examples? And remember, yes and no examples refers to the positive and negative examples that you saw in the template that I shared earlier. And so yes referring to the positive examples, and no referring to the negative examples. So let's go ahead and fill this out. I'm going to go ahead and start with the yes example. I'm going to go ahead and say where last payment date is greater than, all right, invoice due date, click apply. I'll add another condition that says where balance due is greater than 0. Okay? I'll add one more condition that says where invoice due date is less than today or now. Okay. And one last piece, I'm going to add some custom logic. I'm going to add this in. Oops, there you go. Okay. So very similar to the framework that you saw earlier, we're saying where we're providing yes examples or positive examples to show where the last payment date is greater than the invoice due date. Or the balance due is greater than 0, and the invoice due date is before today, meaning they were late on their payment, and there's still a balance due. All right, so now let's talk about the no examples. So we'll go ahead and click no examples, and these are examples where customers paid on time, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and fill this out. I'll go ahead and say where balance due equals 0. Okay. And where last payment date is less than invoice due date. Okay, so again, no examples or examples of customers that paid on time. So where their balance due equals 0 and their last payment date was before the invoice due date, so they paid in on time. All right. So once you define your yes and no examples, then you can go to the next step of the wizard. And then it's going to ask you, which field should Einstein base your prediction on? what are the important fields that you feel as an admin that Einstein can use to determine whether or not someone will be late on their invoice payment. And as an admin, you might not know what are the important fields to include. And so what we recommend doing is leave all the fields in there. Einstein will catch things like leakers or hindsight bias. If you did want to learn more about leakers and hindsight bias, there's a great blog on the admin site that talks through those different things to keep in mind, especially around what fields to include or exclude from your model. But there's a great blog, there's a great blog on the admin site that you can check out to learn more. All right, so you go ahead and leave all the fields in there. We'll go ahead and click next. And then it's going to ask you to name the custom field that stores your results. These are this is going to be the field on the customer record that stores those prediction results or those numbers. So we'll call it something like invoice late score. I think I already created one earlier, so I'll just put 2 after that. And then it's going to ask you how you want the prediction results to display. So something else that's new in Spring 20 is, something that's new in Spring 20 is record insights. And so this is a feature that shows on the end user record to show some of the top reasons why Einstein gave a prediction. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on for this one. And just something to keep in mind here, this isn't something that comes with the freemium version. It is available within one of our other licenses. And if you did want to learn more, again, you can talk to your Salesforce account rep. Okay, so if all of that looks good, we'll go ahead and click next. And then I'll see a summary of everything that I just did. So I'll look through that, and if all looks good, just quickly looking through, you can go ahead and build that prediction. So then Einstein's going to go ahead and build that prediction. And we usually say we say that it takes up to 24 hours. It doesn't usually take that long. It depends how much data that you have. But Einstein will go ahead and build that prediction. And once that prediction has been built, it'll show up under the prediction, and the stats will say ready for review. This is one that I already built before, and I just want to kind of show you after a prediction's built what happens next. And so what happens next is that you'll be given a scorecard to kind of review and see some more information about the prediction. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up now. And so right now we're looking at the scorecard. And the purpose of the scorecard is to give you information about your prediction and help you determine whether you want or not you want to use this prediction in production. And so when analyzing your prediction scorecard, we recommend looking at 2 key areas. The first area is your prediction quality. So right now I'm seeing that the quality of this predictive model is 73, which is pretty good. We always say that if it's in that halfway point, that's a pretty good model. Now, if it's around this, it's around 50 on the left-hand side, that's pretty much comparable to chance. It's better probably just to flip a coin than use this model. And if it's over on the right-hand side around 100, that means the model is too good. There's no such thing as a perfect model, and it's usually because there's information or data included in the model that shouldn't be included in there. And that's usually because of things like, that usually represents like leakers, hindsight bias, as I mentioned earlier. And again, if you did want to learn more, you can check out that blog on the admin website. And then the next area we recommend looking at are the top predictors. And these are kind of the top reasons or fields that Einstein found that represent why someone might be late on their invoice payment. And so if we quickly look at these, it'll show, okay, previous late invoices, meaning like if folks had previous late invoices, it's more than likely they'll be late on future invoice payments, which makes sense. And then you can see some of the other top predictors, ones that you might not have been aware of: annual purchase volume, the invoice amount. And so those are some of the top predictors. And if you did want to drill into the full details around those, you can click this details tab over here to really drill into those details. But once you build your prediction, we recommend taking a look at how it's performing. And the next step you would take after this is enabling the prediction. And so I already went ahead and enabled it, but if it wasn't enabled yet and it said ready for review, you could click this drop down and then you would see enabled. And that would start pushing scores to the customer records. And just to quickly show you what that looks like, I'm looking at pending invoices. I'm in my invoices object, and you can see I have information showing folks that have pending invoices, and then you can see their name, last name, other important information filled out. and then you can see the invoice late score. This is that custom field that I developed, and that's where the scores are being pushed to. So I could drill down on these customers and reach out to the ones that have a high likelihood to be late on their invoice payments. All right, so with that, now I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the presentation to cover some next steps. So the first thing is start building your own predictions. As I mentioned, with Spring 20, Enterprise Enterprise Edition and above orgs, they can build up to 10 predictions and enable one of them for free. Keep in mind, they can be built on any standard or custom object. And if you don't have an Enterprise Edition or above org, you can use this handy Developer Edition org link that you see here to build your own prediction. You would just need to delete the dataset that's already in the org, and then once you do that, you can upload your own dataset and start building your own predictions. Some other things that I want to mention, some other resources that you can use to learn more about Einstein. There is an Einstein platform section on the admin website. There's a lot of great content there all around getting started with Einstein. We, of course, have our Einstein Hub, einstein-hub.com. A lot of great blogs and videos that teach you all around how to use and get started with the Einstein platform, including Einstein Prediction Builder. Our Einstein Champions program. The application process did close, but if you did want to learn more about the Einstein Champions program, you can go to that short URL that you see there. It's for folks, that are really passionate about Einstein and want to teach others. And so if you did want to learn more, the short URL is available for you there. And then lastly, if you do have any other questions around Einstein, you can always engage with us in the Einstein Trailblazer community group. You can get there by going to sfdc.co/Einstein group. And we have members of the product team there. I'm in that group, and we're here to engage with you around any questions you have on Einstein. So with that, I'm now going to hand it back to you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Rajiv. All right, to wrap things up, I just want to remind you all that we will be taking those meaty questions and answering them in the Trailblazer community at the bit.ly provided below, admin webinar group. We also have a survey that we'd love for you to fill out to let us know how you enjoyed this live session. It's bit.ly/admin predictions survey. And then lastly, we've also provided the slides here at the bit.ly provided down here, admin prediction slides. And with that, we are going to jump into the community and answer your questions and talk to you online. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, Rajiv, for providing all of this amazing information for our admins.